Those are the comments from late-night TV host Jimmy Kimmel on Monday night during his show, and that's what led ABC to pull the show off the air indefinitely after ABC faced pressure from some of its station managers, advertisers saying they were going to pull the show. We're seeing protests breaking out by people angry over what's happened, saying this is about suppressing free speech, angry at ABC and Disney over what they have done. A protest today outside of the studios in LA, for example, where the Jimmy Kimmel show was taped. Let's bring in Conor Fitzpatrick. He is supervising senior lawyer with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. Hey, good to have you with us here as we cover this story. What do you make of what we're seeing?
We're very troubled by it and we're very concerned. And the reason for that is the government should never be in the business of trying to use its enforcement authority, its regulatory authority, to go after media companies to try and change their coverage. The government isn't supposed to like comedians or the media because the media's job is to cover the government and to keep it honest. And the role of comedians since the dawn of time has been to satirize and make fun of those in power and make jokes that make those in power uncomfortable. The government should never be in the business of threatening consequences if a media company doesn't fire a particular commentator or doesn't change its coverage.
You're coming to us from Washington, and I know your group has been really on the front line when it comes to freedom of expression, freedom of speech. This is what you guys do. You advocate on behalf of that. This is a very high-profile story. Kimmel, of course, hugely popular. He's been on the air for 20-plus years. I'm wondering what you think the backlash may be against ABC and Disney, not only by those in the industry, but also by, viewers, by Americans.
Well, we hope that Americans stand up and say that we don't want our media companies to surrender, to back down to government threats. We have the First Amendment in this country for a reason. We have a First Amendment that protects us from the government treating us differently or placing consequences on us because it doesn't like what we have to say. So what we need to see are media companies willing to stand up and fight back and go to the courts to assert their right to freedom of the press, to assert their rights to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. But simply cowering and deciding not to fight and deciding that it'll be better for the bottom line to just give up and give the administration and the government what it wants, that is no way to protect free speech in our country.
What about the FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission, and the head of it, Brendan Carr, a man who was appointed to that position by the president himself? He has also spoken out against what Jimmy Kimmel said. He has also put pressure about how the FCC may get involved. And we know that other networks, ABC we're talking about, but NBC, CBS have come under a lot of pressure from the Trump administration over comments that were made or stories that aired as well. But the FCC getting directly involved, Conor.
The thing about Mr. Carr is he knows better. During the Biden administration, he was one of the most vocal critics against the Biden administration trying to use its influence to what we call in the United States jawbone, which is trying to use government regulatory threats in order to change coverage of a particular media company. So the best evidence about the illegality and the wrongfulness of what Brendan Carr and the Trump administration are doing is what Brendan Carr said just a couple of years ago when he talked about how wrong it is to wield government power to try and suppress speech that you don't like. And since he's been in power, he's been threatening to go after the broadcast licenses of companies like ABC, NBC, and CBS for coverage that he and this administration doesn't like. That is simply not something the First Amendment permits, and both federal law and Supreme Court precedent back that up.
Hey, just quickly before we go, what do you think ABC and Disney are going to do here? Is this a temporary suspension? Does Jimmy Kimmel come back, or is this it?
I hope it's temporary. I hope they rediscover their love of free speech, their love of the First Amendment. I hope they rediscover how important the rights to free speech and free expression and a free press are to what they do as media companies. That opening this Pandora's box of censorship for the government will never end well, and it is not what this country is built upon.
Conor Fitzpatrick in Washington. He is a senior lawyer with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, known as FIRE, with his take today on the Jimmy Kimmel story. Good to see you, Conor. Thanks for this.
Thank you.